We're coming off the back of the Fyter Fest AEW Dynamite special, and it's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as a new champion is crowned on AEW Dynamite. Is an AEW wrestler heading to New Japan Pro-Wrestling? Kenny Omega and Adam Page agree to a match. And we have a major update regarding the return of Becky Lynch. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... Recently released WWE Superstar Buddy Murphy, who was let go on June 2nd, has begun to hype up his return to wrestling after changing his Twitter profile to a date which points towards the 31st of August 2021. This is the date that his non-compete clause ends, which is when he is allowed to sign for another wrestling promotion. It seems he is trying to avoid the cool-down period that the non-competes are designed for, essentially being in place to kill any buzz around a talent before they're able to jump ship. As we noted on a recent video, Murphy has been announced for his first post-WWE match in the ECW arena in Philadelphia, where he takes on AEW's Brian Cage for Battleground Championship Wrestling. It's likely Murphy will be snapped up by a larger promotion pretty quick, with him having all the talent in the world. AEW and Impact are often touted as the destination for most released talents, but options like New Japan and MLW are also very possible. Malakai Black, who recently debuted in AEW, has debuted with a damaged eye, which is something that Murphy caused him in WWE. So maybe there is a hint there that he could be heading to AEW, but we will just have to wait and see. In a recent interview on the Sports Dude Hines show, I think that's how you say it, former AEW TNT champion Darby Allin revealed his dream AEW match and is particularly impressed by AEW's newest acquisition, Malakai Black. Darby expressed his appreciation for Black's non-stop work ethic and his creativity and said, "I know this sounds weird because he literally just showed up, but I'd say Tommy End, Malakai Black. Somebody like him who has the creative side and does stuff on his own, I find that captivating. I know that sounds generic because he literally just showed up on Wednesday, but nobody gets my gears turning more than him. Like, okay, we can do some stuff, and that would be a lot of fun. I like people like that. I like people that whoever shows up to work on Wednesday, when they get home on Thursday, their mind is still working. It's not a one-day job, they do it 7 days a week." Of course, Malakai Black is currently tied up in a feud with Cody Rhodes, with the two seemingly set for a match somewhere down the line, most likely at the All Out pay-per-view, but I certainly wouldn't be mad if Darby Allin was his next opponent after that. Darby is coming off the back of a big coffin match victory over Ethan Page at Night 1 of AEW Fyter Fest, which you'd expect to be the end of that feud, so Allin will be looking for his next program, and a story between Black and Darby with Sting mixed in would be pure gold. And speaking of Fyter Fest, elsewhere on the show, the current AEW TNT champion Miro revealed a brand new belt design for his title, which he won from Darby Allin on May 12th earlier this year. Having made 2 successful defenses since then, Miro has taken it upon himself to mix up the belt to include a white strap and a green banner on the main plate. The belt was first shown off in a pre-taped promo where he went through his recent accomplishments, ushering in the 3rd redesign in the belt's history. Last night's episode of Dynamite saw a groundbreaking title change after Team Taz's Ricky Starks defeated his former stablemate Brian Cage to become the FTW champion. I say former stablemate as it seems the long-term build, and I mean long-term build, to Brian Cage's exit from the group is now complete after Powerhouse Hobbs struck Cage with the belt to help Starks obtain the victory. Ricky Starks is now the 4th FTW champion in history, with Taz and Sabu holding the title during its time in Extreme Championship Wrestling, and of course Brian Cage being the first FTW champion in AEW before dropping it to Starks. Now that the belt seems to be becoming an active title, it will be interesting to see how often it is defended. We theorized on the channel not too long ago that the FTW Championship would be the perfect top title on the new AEW Rampage show if the show was to take on a more adult ECW themed vibe. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. And also on last night's show, there seemed to be a huge hint that a certain AEW wrestler could be crossing through the Forbidden Door, heading to either New Japan Pro-Wrestling or perhaps Impact Wrestling. During the show, Andrade was interviewed by Alex Abrahantes before it was revealed that Andrade has permission from AEW President Tony Khan to kick down the Forbidden Door and win championships everywhere. The term the Forbidden Door is typically a reference for the previously fractured relationship between All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro-Wrestling before Kenta debuted in AEW, confirming a working relationship between the two. Andrade's next feud in AEW seems to have been confirmed after he called out the Death Triangle, which is the trio of Pac, Penta El Zero M, and Rey Fenix. Literally, Andrade versus any of these three would be dynamite, no pun intended, and maybe we can be spoiled and get all three. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. And for our final story from last night's AEW Dynamite show, the path was lit for Hangman Adam Page to receive an AEW World Championship opportunity, but there's a catch. Current champion Kenny Omega agreed to a 5-on-5 tag match with the Elite taking on Page and the Dark Order, and if Page's team win, he gets a shot at the AEW World title. Not only that, but 2 members of the Dark Order will also earn a shot at the Young Bucks' AEW tag team titles. This isn't all, as Omega told Hangman, "I'll entertain your idea, Paige, but the thing is, we get nothing in exchange. So I've got a suggestion. After we beat your guys, not only do your boys lose their shot at the tag team titles, but you also lose your shot at my belt too." The match will be fought under elimination rules, but no date is currently set. It's likely the match will headline the Fight for the Fallen Dynamite special in 2 weeks' time, but that is just speculation from me. And if Page and the Dark Order do win, the 2 title matches will probably go down at AEW All Out in September, the very same pay-per-view that Adam Page lost in the first ever AEW World title match to Chris Jericho just 2 years ago. And don't you just love seeing a long-term plan come together? It seems we could be set for a big ending to the All Out pay-per-view, with the Dark Order holding the tag team titles, lifting Adam Page up, who is holding the AEW World title, and of course all in tribute to Brody Lee. And finally, let's take a jump away from AEW and end with a huge update on the return of Becky Lynch, who is expected to be in attendance at a WWE show very soon. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, Becky Lynch is set to be backstage at the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view this Sunday, which is the first non-WrestleMania main roster pay-per-view to have fans in attendance. Obviously not ever, just since the pandemic. It's currently unknown if the Man will be appearing in an on-screen role, and while she will be there, she has in fact been backstage recently at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view as well as at the Performance Center in June, which is said to be part of the process in bringing her back. It does seem, however, that Money in the Bank would be the perfect place to bring her back to television. Lynch hasn't appeared on WWE television since May 11th of 2020, where she announced her pregnancy before vacating the Raw Women's title, before handing it to the then Money in the Bank holder, Asuka. The return of Becky would certainly give either brand's women's division a shot in the arm, and with Brock Lesnar and John Cena also tipped to return in the near future, WWE look to be giving their returning fans some returns of their own to look forward to. And before you go, make sure you check out my list of the 10 hottest free agents in wrestling today.